What the hell is wrong with this Jeep, man? Alright, people, welcome back. So, I just went outside and made sure that all my tires and everything is good, because I got my Jeep back. So for those who don't know, this Jeep had a dead battery for about a month, because what happened is we got new stairs, right? And the one day I came out here to start it, it started, but it hesitated to start.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
So it finally started, and then the second time I tried to start it, it wouldn't start at all. And it turns out it was a dead battery. And, you know, that was verified by the mechanic that we take it to, because my mom had called, said, hey, said, hey, it's not starting because of the battery. And she's like, well, what about the oil leak? And he's like, well, I don't know about the oil leak because you didn't say there was an oil leak at all. So they had to fix an oil leak because the upper oil pan gasket was leaking as well. This started like a week before Thanksgiving, I think, something like that. So it started leaking oil, had a dead battery. So finally, we had to have it towed, because looking for the piece here that ties this. Yeah, this is what I got. Had a dead battery because of the dead battery wasn't starting. I bought a battery jumper for $80, right? So I went to go and start it. It started and then immediately died. So I was like, what the heck? I thought it was an alternator or something like that. Turns out it wasn't. When they came to tow it, they jumped it and it started up and ran the entire time. So they had to tow it because it was already hooked up to it. So this got towed for the very first time ever. And now I know that this is not easy to tow. I mean, it should be pretty easy to tow. You just got to put it in neutral, make sure my parking brake's not on, and you should just be able to load it right up on a rollback, right? But, because for some reason, there should be like a little thing in here where you can flip it open and you can get it into neutral, but the guy didn't do that. So, and the guy, when he backed up, he hit my neighbor's tree. Like, he didn't angle himself properly, right? So when he was backing up, he was holding the branches of the tree with his hand. I'm like, dude, that is not what you do in professional driving world. I would have just turned around, so I would have been able to get it without having to do all that nonsense. So yeah, so if you're driving a tow truck or anything like that, you got to be professional. You got to be professional. Because, if you do something stupid like that, you could be investigated for, DUI or something like that. Because most people don't do that stuff, And if you're a professional driver, you can't be doing DUI related things. So that's why you need to be, you need to know what the heck you're doing and don't be
doing stupid crap, is what I meant. Now, in regards to that situation, I'm not saying that this driver was under the influence at all. I'm just saying that people do stupid things even when they're sober. You know what I mean? But, if this guy was doing an off-road recovery and did something like that, hitting stuff and that kind of stuff, I mean, that would make the officer that called you thinking that you were under the influence because, when you're driving a tow truck, you have to be careful for what you're doing when you are loading cars and unloading cars and, maneuvering yourself. You got to do the best thing possible. And so what I would have done in that situation is I would have gone down the alley, made a 3-point turn and come back up, and would have backed up to where I would have positioned myself where I wouldn't have been in that situation where I have to literally use my hand to push tree branches out of the way, and he did get himself stuck in a situation like that. So with that being said, I would have assessed the situation better, so I would have been able to properly back up and, load the car without any mishaps. So that's the whole point of why I said what I said. Because, yeah, I mean, you have to do the right thing possible when you are operating a tow truck, you know what I mean? You wouldn't want to be running stuff over with your tow truck and the officer that called you saying, "Oh, do you want to step out of the tow truck and do a standard field sobriety test because you ran over a piece of property or something?" That kind of stuff. So it's very important that, you recognize that anything that you do, damaging property or, hitting stuff, I mean, that would make somebody think that you're under the influence. Personally, did I think that guy was under the influence of anything? No. I'm not saying that he was, but I'm saying that that could make someone think that you're under the influence. So it's very important that you recognize the fact that that you need to make sure you're doing everything safely. Now, this is not the first time I've had someone hit stuff and run stuff over like that. One time I was on an island and I had to call an ambulance for somebody, right? And when the ambulance pulled in our driveway, they hit a couple trees, ran over some boxes, and, I mean, it's just like, you're not a bulldozer running stuff over, you know what I mean? You need to pay attention, not be hitting stuff, you know what I mean? Because, if the people that were across from where I was at could have said, "Hey, you had a tow truck come and they hit my tree and sorry about that. The recording had cut me off, but I said in that last little bit there that everything that you do, I mean, like I said with the whole tree ordeal, I mean, they could have said, "Oh, well, the tow truck hit my tree or hit my fence or whatever," and they're like, "Oh, well, what's the number for the company so I can complain?" You know what I mean? That kind of stuff, right? So you need to be careful because anything you do in a motor vehicle, somebody can call and be like, get your license plate and report you for doing something like that. So you need to keep that in mind that, it's a very serious thing. I mean, I've only been licensed for a few years, and I've I mean, it's a very important thing that everything you do in a car has its consequences, or in a vehicle or anything like that. So you need to realize, and a lot of people go every day not realizing these things. You know, you need to be.
But yeah, just don't be doing stupid stuff like that, because you almost could have taken out the fence, could have taken out the tree. But anyway, that's enough about that. I'm just saying, you can't be stupid on the road. You can't be stupid when you're maneuvering, because, you got to be smart, and I understand we all make mistakes, but anyway. So I'm just letting this run for a little bit because I started it. Oops, why aren't my gauge lit up? Oh, now they're lit up. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so I got it started. And so we're just letting it run for a little bit. I had to go and get gas because the gas was also old and degrading. So when I left the mechanics, this was struggling to get up to speed. So, yeah. So, my tire light's still on, so, hey, whatever. For some reason in this thing, like, when it's cold out or whatever, like, next thing you know, the low tire light's on, and then the check engine light's on, then it goes out. It's like, what the heck? So, yeah. So anyway, they put the oil change sticker right above where my little sun strip is, because I'm guessing because I was behind on the oil change. I will admit that I was behind on the oil change, and the whole reason why I was behind is I didn't really drive all that much in the last few months because my mom moved in and she started using her car for driving all the time. So I said, Mom, look, I'm going to have to start using this for now on locally or something, because this can't be sitting. It's just going to have more problems again. And then it's just going to cost me more money. $620 just for the new battery, the oil change, and everything. Now, speaking about the oil change, once again, it did not need to be changed because it didn't drive very much. But when the battery died and it was sitting for about a month, the oil started to change color. So that's an indicator that that I needed I needed to get an oil change done. So yeah, so that's what ended up happening. Needed an oil change, got all that stuff done. So now it's on my sun strip because I guess they want to make sure I see it. Because I was supposed to get it done at the end of September, but like I said, my mom moved in, didn't really drive all that much. I figured I'd just go a little bit longer without having to get the oil change. Well, then my battery died, so I couldn't run it, so I had to get the oil change. So yeah, so that's life. And then in November, I had to get my registration renewed. My state, you don't have to have stickers, but you do have to have registration. Registration has to be up to date. You know what I mean? So this is the life. This is the life, right? So now I got it running. Now we're gonna see what's gonna go on. See what's happening. Because I'm gonna end up having to get LED lights for the turn signals and all of that stuff. I don't know, but yeah, this needs a lot of work done on it. It needs repainted on the outside. It needs the treatment on the bumper. I actually have a little bit of a spot on the bumper where it looks like it's starting to dry rot. So who knows what's going to happen with this whole bumper situation. But yeah, everything else seems to be in order in here. So we're going to be getting everything back to going here, and you know, we're gonna be back out on the road again. Because I told Mom, I'm like, we gotta drive this thing at least once a week so it don't die. You know, and I've had to drive the last couple times. When this got towed on my birthday, I had to drive my mom's car because we had the grooming appointment for the dogs, right? And she was so dizzy and messed up. I had no choice but to drive that day. So it really screwed me up with driving and stuff like that. Then I had to drive on Christmas because we went down to visit my niece and nephews. And my mom forgot her phone there. So we had to drive 30 minutes back there to go and get it. And I was all ticked off. I'm like, you kidding me, Mom? Now we gotta drive all the way back. So yeah, so we're back. You know, everything's all good. I got my registration renewed, so we should be good. Then I get my inspection done for this in August, so we're trying to take it easy as we go, you know. Because, you know, the thing about it is with the state and everything like that, I mean, they don't mess around when it comes to registration and stuff. That, you know, if your registration is expired, you're going to have some pretty bright lights in your rearview mirror. And I see it all the time around here. I'm in a small town. I mean, I've seen more traffic stops in this town. It's like, damn, you best be careful out there on the road. So anyway, this is back. It's winter. I don't know if I'm going to be driving in the snow. You can't really drive in the snow in this because slides around and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what's going on. I was thinking about getting a dash cam in here, but the problem is the windshield's so small that it'd just be in the way. I don't know, but I'm thinking about getting a dash camera. So if anything happens, I can record. But yeah, the wind was taking a toll on this going back home because it was very windy and stuff. So yeah, so anyway, we're doing all right. A little bit stress-free, so we're gonna hope for the best. But I didn't do what, you know, some people wanted me to do, which was get my back bumper and all that stuff traded with this black stuff I got, this black trim stuff I got just over. It's actually gonna be a year in February. And so yeah, so I've had this for a whole year. Now let me remind you, when I first bought this thing back in 24, it was actually the day after my birthday, right? We had issues with the not with the DMV, but with, you know, getting this thing registered because I didn't have my license for the state yet. So I couldn't register it in my name, so it registered someone else's name. And then in August, something happened. I'm not going to go into details of what had happened, but, you know, let's just say people fall out. They have friends. They fall out. Some people hold grudges. Some people don't. But anyway, I just want to, you know, tell you about this stuff because, you know, in August, some stuff went down and I had to go and get this registered in my name fully. So, you know, all that stuff happened, and then I got it inspected. Then I had to get new tires. Yeah, and the guy that works at the tire shop was no different than the guy that, you know, there was a falling out with, kinda. He's kind of the same way, you know. We're like, what the hell was wrong with this Jeep, man? I'm like, well, you're asking me. I mean, this is a first generation JK, and I mean, it looks pretty much just like a standard stock Jeep. I mean, it really ain't anything different than what they've had for the last 10 years or so. But yeah, I mean, this is just, you know, I gotta get this thing fixed up. I gotta get it repainted. I gotta make it look nicer. So It doesn't look like my old Plymouth Voyager, because the old Plymouth Voyager had a bunch of issues, and you know, I'm just surprised somebody bought it. Because it was going to cost you more money to fix it than it was altogether around. But hey, I mean, the Voyager had more room, you had more flexibility, you didn't have this death wobble nonsense like you do. Because believe me, this is real with the death wobble. It's not really all that bad, but like if something presses up against your tire, this is what happens, right? But yeah, I mean, I haven't had any of those issues yet, but let me tell you, if you're going to buy one of these used Jeeps, you know, this is the sound you're going to hear a lot when stuff fails. You ready?